Okay, welcome to the first episode. My name is Johnny, and this is the LUNAIMPACTS podcast. All right, so starting off with this first episode, I'm going to talk about who am I, my fitness journey, my fitness experience, and what did I do before fitness, and how, what made me get into podcasting and social media and entrepreneurship. So let's get straight into it.
All right, so this is probably weird to you. You're probably like, "Wait, what just happened?" He just said, "Let's get straight into it," and then he pauses the video, and now he does a voiceover. All right, that's kind of cool though, because no other podcast is doing that. Okay, but I forgot to mention three things real quick. First thing is that I'm actually going to be doing a Q&A with myself. So with the laptop I have right there, I'm answering questions. And I also forgot to mention that I'm going to be going over fitness controversial topics, specifically with hypertrophy. So tune in for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then the third thing is that 8 minutes into the video, the video cut off. And the only thing that works is the audio. So I decided to put me training clients and me training myself in the background while I'm talking. That's kind of cool, right? All right, keep watching. Let's go.
First things first, who am I? So, like I said, my name is Johnny. I'm Salvadorian. I'm currently 22 years old. And what do I do? So, first thing, I don't even know how to answer this question. This question is, it's funny because I do a lot of things, but the main thing that I do right now is I'm a personal trainer, a coach, a fitness coach. I've been coaching for 3 years. I coached at Equinox for a year and a half. Before Equinox, I coached at Crunch for a year. And also now I am officially private. It's just me, my own personal brand. And I'm training clients underneath my brand. And now I'm on social media, right? So more about the podcast and why I decided to start the podcast. So let's get into that. So the reason why I decided to start the podcast, number one, is I think it's the best way to just get myself out there, and also to deliver information, like, or source out to people who have success and things that I don't have success in, and then share that with the world. That's kind of my mission with the podcast. It is more self-improvement based, and it is also going to be focused on fitness and a little bit about entrepreneurship too. And I'm really excited for it. Like, I really think that I'm going to bring in a lot of good people, people who have experience in things that a lot of people want, and I think they can bring a lot of value to the world. So I'm excited for that. Now let's get into fitness. So how did I get into fitness? This started off when I was younger. In middle school, I started off playing soccer just like any other Hispanic kid. And soccer was great, but in high school I got into martial arts. And then after martial arts, I decided to start going to the gym. So I was always like skinny growing up. And I was like, I played every sport, but I wasn't really good at any particular sport. And, since I was skinny, I always wanted to gain muscle. Like, I was tired of feeling skinny all the time. So I would go to the gym at that age, 14, 15, 16, 17, not super consistent, just like any other kid that gets motivated for a month and then they stop going. That was me. And then in college, I went for like 6 months straight. That was the first time that I built muscle. I built probably 10 pounds in general, not all muscle. Some of it was a little fat. And I believe I was at 140 something, and I went up to like 155 or something like that. But then after that, after going to the gym consistently for like 6, 7, 8 months, that's when I decided to join IM Academy, and I got into trading forex and building a whole business team. And I kind of stopped being consistent with that. And then, fast forward after 2 years of me not doing that anymore, I got back into fitness, and I really dove in deep. That's when for the first time I had abs. For the first time I can actually see my bicep vein. I had those first couple of milestones after just like a couple of, actually a lot of years from high school. now to, being 22. And so, yeah, so now I'm going to talk about like what's my current fitness education. So I got my certification as a personal trainer in 2021. And then from that moment, I've delved into courses, I've delved into research. I also followed a lot of influential people, a lot of good coaches, and I just kind of studied those resources. Also, what's his name? His name is kind of Brad Schoenfield. He's also pretty good. I've studied some of his material, some of his case studies too. And yeah, like as of right now, actually, I'm learning more about practical physics. And when I say practical, I mean like physics is clearly like there's just like it's a law, right? Just like gravity. But like in terms of applying that in the gym and actually getting results, understanding physics, is something else, right? So I've been learning a little bit about that. I got Ben Yanis. I always mispronounce his name. Shout out to Ben Yanis. I've been learning some stuff from him, and yeah, I'm excited about that. So what's my fitness experience? My fitness experience. So like I said, I've been consistent for the past 2.5 years, and what got like, I guess what motivated me to be consistent was after the business. So like I said, 2 years of not training consistently, I had gained some fat. And actually, I'm gonna tell you guys this story real quick. This one time I was in Virginia, right? And my leader at the time, the one that brought me in the business, he had challenged me to a race. And you know me, I'm a little sometimes cocky. And I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. Let's see how this goes. And I was pretty confident I was gonna win, because the last time I actually ran, I was somewhat quick. And now, at that time I had gained like 15 pounds. So I was not that quick anymore. And so, I have two of my other business mates, and they're watching. And me and my leader, we're on the start line. And it's like maybe 50 yards. It's not even that long. And they say ready, set, go, and I got smoked. Like I got completely smoked. Oh man, it's so funny like how terrible I did. So after that moment, I was like, hell no, I gotta go back in the gym. That's kind of one of the things that transpired me to be consistent. And then also I had lost my whole organization. I kind of was like, okay, I need something to like kind of keep my head in the game. And so fitness was like a big outlet for me. And yeah, so that was my fitness transformation. My fitness transformation was going from 170, maybe 172, I remember. And then I had got to 12% body fat for the first time, and I was sitting around 155. And so what has fitness done for me? Fitness, not only is it an outlet, but it's like one of those things like if you're not feeling good about yourself, when you go into the gym and you put in that physical pain, there's something rewarding at the end of it. You start to feel good about yourself because you're like, yo, I'm really like putting myself through physical pain to build myself, to grow myself. And there's something about that is it's a growing activity. There's something about that just builds confidence in what you say and what you do as a person. And it also, I mean, there's obviously, you guys know, like when you do physical activity, there's blood flow, blood circulation, all that stuff. Like it's pretty good for you. But specifically with me, since I was pretty skinny, I always looked at myself as I always viewed myself that way. Like I always viewed myself as a skinny person. And so when I started to see changes in the mirror and people starting to comment on my physique, they started to say, yo, like, you got veins now, like, yo, like you got some toned arms. I can see the separation. Like that to me was it was like a confidence boost, what I could do. So yeah, that's what that did for me. And so what are some bumps I had in my fitness experience? Some bumps I had in my first fitness experience. Okay, so this is a mistake I really recommend you guys do not do. And something I didn't really understand was skipping legs. Yeah, it's not like I skipped it, but I only trained it once a week, and it wasn't really intense training. So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of like, just put myself in that headspace where I was a couple years back. So there's this guy. His name is Grego Gallagher. He goes by Kino Body, and I remember watching one of his videos, and at the time I didn't really know anything about fitness. And he's selling a program, and he's talking about how you can be Bruce Wayne, how you can have a V taper, and me, like you start speaking these terms to me, and it's just emotional. So I just emotionally bought into his program, and in his program he suggested to train legs once a week. He kept advertising prioritized upper body, forget about legs. To be honest, he still does to this day. And so for a year I just didn't train legs as hard, and that's like, for me, that was I guess that was a bump, because eventually you start building a big upper body and you got no legs to show for it, and it's not a good feeling. Now my legs are freaking, I like to say humongous. They're still growing, but they've actually been growing significantly the past 3 months, because I've been back squatting pretty heavy. So that's going pretty good. They're starting to catch up, and they're now proportionate. I just got to work on the calves a little bit. All right, so what does my fitness training look like? So let me give you guys a little backstory on that too. When I first started off training, it was mainly just bodybuilding, all aesthetics based. 6 months ago, I started getting more involved in the strength, the strength side of things. And so I started getting involved in the strength side of things. So I started prioritizing my bench, my deadlift, and my squat. My squat was always bad. I never really had high numbers, or I always kind of looked at myself as a bad squatter. And so I was like, you know what? I'm kind of sick and tired of feeling like that. I want to get strong. And that was 6 months ago. So then from there, I decided to just prioritize strength. So I started squatting, benching, and deadlifting. And after 2-3 months, I stopped being really consistent, because I started focusing on building this brand, starting to, be able to talk to you. And I'm also drinking, smoking. I was doing that on weekends. And so that led to me being kind of inconsistent. I would just like work out once, twice a week. And as a fitness coach, like, I wasn't really practicing when I was preaching. And I kind of realized that. So I was like, okay, I got to pick myself up again. And so, so now, sorry, I forgot this one part of the story. So I had me and this coworker, we had a front squat competition last year. And he beat me. And we also had competitions outside of fitness. We had a Fortnite competition for my people who play Fortnite. And look, he claims that he beats me every time. He's lying. I've beaten him 3 times. He's beaten me 4 times. Okay. And then we had one tie. And like everyone at work was just saying, like, bring him. He always smokes me, yada, yada. So I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of everyone saying this. So yeah, I challenged him to a back squat competition, and that's happening in December 15th to be exact. So I am super pumped for that. That's how my current training is looking like. Just literally squat 3 times a week, and then some accessory work. My biggest training mistake, other than the legs, I would say not experimenting. In the beginning, since you don't really know what you're doing, you just kind of try to trust in what someone else is telling you to do online or what you see on YouTube. And that makes total sense, but first, like, you follow someone that has the results you want and has been able to show other people results. And then from there, like, you try to understand the principles. After you start getting results for yourself, you try to understand, okay, so how did I actually build this muscle? At least for the people who really care. And then from there, like, once you understand the principles, now you can experiment a little bit. It's like training is really subjective, and it should be more enjoyable than a hassle. So that's the biggest training mistake. For a long period of time, I was just trying to do what was optimal, or what was like the best way, and not realizing that the power is in my hands. Like, training it's completely subjective to anyone and everyone based on their goals, based on what they want to do. And yeah, so I really hope that you guys experiment, because I didn't do that for a long time. Okay, so in my opinion, what's the most underrated factor in achieving muscle hypertrophy that many people tend to overlook? In my opinion, the most underrated factor, I would say, this is a really tough call, because there's a couple. Honestly, recovery. I don't think a lot of people pay attention to their recovery. Like, your sleep, your nutrition, your protein, your vitamin intake, your supplementation, like, those little small factors honestly play a big role on how fast and how effective you can progress. And so, like, sometimes it's not necessarily what you're doing inside of the gym, it's what you're doing outside of the gym that's kind of that's affecting your results. So that's one thing that people overlook. How do you navigate the debate between high frequency training versus high volume training for hypertrophy, and what's your preference? Okay, so how do I navigate the difference? Here's the difference. High frequency and high volume. Well, frequency, I think, should be determined based on what can you commit to. Like, what is based on your lifestyle. If you cannot go to the gym 5 times a week because you're a parent and you also work a very high demanding job, then it's not smart for you to have on paper, like, okay, this program requires me to go 5 times a week. I think that's the first thing when it comes to programming. But let's say you can make it, right? Now, what's the difference between having a 5 times a week training protocol and then just having maybe 3 times a week, but a lot of sets, a lot of reps? Well, from there, it's like, what is causing a lot of accumulated fatigue that's not leading to hypertrophy stimulus? If you're doing a lot of sets and reps and it's not really equating to the outcome, then what's the whole point of doing it? Unless there's something intentional behind it, like, practicing your form or something that's indirectly that's going to lead to the result, then doing a high frequency or high volume training protocol should be totally dependent on what do you enjoy the most and what can you commit to, right? And what can you recover from too. So if you find that high frequency, it's very taxing on your CNS and you become very tired most of the time, try lowering down the frequency, see how that goes for you. If you find that high volume and being in the gym for 2-3 hours is very boring and it starts to become problematic because you don't take your training as serious, then try lowering down the volume. It's like, it's all subjective, but it should really depend on what can you recover from, what is going to allow you to progress, what do you enjoy, and what can you commit to. What's your take on the use of advanced training techniques like drop sets, supersets, or rest pause for hypertrophy gains? My take on it is, honestly, I find them very useful tools. So some people don't necessarily like the terminology of techniques or training techniques. They say, like, stick to the basics, just train hard, compound movements, 3 sets, which I think they are correct to a certain extent. Like, those are going to be the main things that lead to the result. because you have the intensity on point, you have the mechanical tension. However, drop sets, supersets, and rest pause, the reason why I like them a lot is because they're efficient for how much time you're in the gym, right? For my clients, I only train them for an hour. So using drop sets, supersets, and rest pause, they allow me to get more done in less time. And it's sometimes fun. Like, it's sometimes like, oh, okay, cool. I get to do this, like, this drop set in my program, the superset. Like, sometimes when you just do straight sets, it's kind of boring. So yeah, that's my opinion. In the ever-evolving fitness industry, what trends or practices do you think are overhyped when it comes to muscle hypertrophy? It's a great question. What do I think is overhyped? Man, I think I'm trying to really think right now. Oh, I think mind-muscle connection is overhyped. Mind-muscle connection is only relevant if your effort is there. So, for example, if you're doing a, let's say you do RDLs, right? And it's hard for you to feel your glutes. And you're doing only 15 pounds, like with dumbbells in your hand. And this is like your working sets. And you know for a fact 15 pounds for you is absolutely light as heck. Like that, those 15 pounds are not going to do anything. It's not as efficient as having 30 pounds on each hand. That is like maybe 70% of your working set, of your 1 rep max, and you not even feeling the muscle as much. I guarantee you'll probably get more stimulus with something that's pretty hard, close to your limit, than something else that you can't feel. But it does have relevancy, and I think you should be feeling, there should be some mind muscle connection when it comes to training, especially for hypertrophy. But it's not nearly as important as having the effort down first, then the mind muscle connection. And I think also, like, you know, obviously form plays a big role on what you feel and how you feel. And in terms of an internal response, like when you're doing something like an RDL, your body just knows, like, all right, this guy's trying to move this weight in this direction, and he's trying to move the weight in that direction. If you're not using the proper musculature to get yourself to move in those directions, then you're not going to target those muscles, right? And ultimately what I'm trying to say is, like, with the mind muscle connection, sometimes people forget, like, yeah, it's important to feel it, but in the beginning it's going to be really hard because this is something that you haven't done before, and you just have to do it more and more and more in order for the mind muscle connection to build up and for you to actually understand what the mind muscle connection is. But don't forget about the effort, right? Once you have the form down, okay, make sure that you're training pretty hard. I guarantee over time the mind muscle connection is going to improve. Now let's go to 14. In your experience, how does mental resilience and mindset influence long-term success and muscle hypertrophy training? In my experience, mindset is everything when it comes to training. If you have a goal in mind and you want to bulk up, you want to add 10 pounds, or even if you want to lose body fat, it is all, okay, think about what actually matters. You being consistent, right? And then from there, from being consistent, you having something that allows you to progress and allows you to recover. You're doing those things to allow you to progress and recover. If your mindset and your attitude toward the goal being accomplished, the actionable behaviors, think about when you're inside of the gym, you're most likely not going to enjoy it if you don't believe in the goal. And then if you don't enjoy it, then you won't take it as serious. So then your performance isn't as good. If your performance isn't as good, then that means your effort isn't good. If your effort isn't good, then that means that you're not going to actually get the output that you need to progress, right? It's all linked back to how your attitude is. That's going to transpire the behaviors and the necessary sacrifices. Like, I remember when I was in, it was Christmas time, and I had bought literally chicken, creatine powder. I had bought a whole bag of food for me to eat, because I was so obsessed with getting down to 12% body fat, and I didn't want to eat fast food. I know every time I go out to my family, my diet goes out the window. So at the time, I had bought like a whole bag for 2 weeks, yo. I swear, protein powder, everything. And so, like, now looking back, what it was is just like where my mindset and attitude was. You know, I started becoming obsessive, and I had a really good attitude toward my achievement of the goal. And I think that really just comes down to like you proving to yourself you can be consistent. So like in the beginning, it's your belief level or your confidence may not be high, but as you continue to alter the way you view yourself, when you look in the mirror, you start to look at your actions differently, you start to do different actions, eventually it will become habitual. Eventually you will increase your belief. So I think mindset is everything. How do you balance the pursuits of hypertrophy with overall health and longevity considerations in your training philosophy? Okay, overall health and longevity. Okay, so I think there's a misconception like bodybuilding is not functional. Bodybuilding can be the most functional, simply because you're training your joints through contractile ranges, like through ranges where they're not used to going. And if you do that over time and you do it safely and progressively, it's been pretty evident too. There's a lot of long-term effects that can increase your longevity. So in terms of, let me reread the question, make sure I'm actually answering the right question. How do I balance the pursuit of hypertrophy? Yeah, in terms of that, like if you are training pretty hard and you're not overtraining and you have a good recovery, then by default you should be increasing your longevity and your overall health. And also, I mean, one thing for me also, I need to improve my cardio, like actually implement more cardio. I used to walk around a lot. No, I don't as much. So that's another thing too, I guess. And but that can lead to that can kind of be linked to hypertrophy. Like I know aerobic cardio is highly suggested to, lose body fat. So yeah, I think hypertrophy in itself can or will it will advocate for longevity and health. So in the age of social media fitness influencers, how can individuals sift through the noise to find reliable hypertrophy advice? Okay, this is a great question. When you're scrolling through Instagram, you start to see a lot of influencers. Some will give the same advice. Excuse me. And then you're going to see some controversial topics and some people saying opposite of what the other person is saying. Here's what I would say to this, and this kind of goes to anything. Always ask yourself, does this person have the results that I want? But then from there, have they actually produced those results for other people? And like, because especially with fitness, and there's like so much involved with fitness that it's really hard to be like, okay, this person is correct. Like some people, like, okay, so me, the people I look up to, I look up to Joe Bennett, Ben Yanez, Mike Israetel, Brad Schoenfield. But there's certain things that I've experienced myself and that I've seen with clients that kind of like I disagree a little bit on some of the things that they say, even though they have experience, and they study the field a lot more in depth with me than me. Right. So it's like, you just got to be able to build your own belief system, but try to learn more concepts and more principles first. That's how I would try to sift through the noise, because you're going to have a lot of people telling you this, that, and the third. Okay, you can be open-minded and take in that information, but learn the principles and the basic guidelines on what you're trying to do. And then from there, ask yourself, does it align with what this is? And then you can always and if it doesn't, you can always just ask deeper. You can literally DM your social media influencer and be like, hey, like I was wondering on this video that you made, what can you explain more on why you said this? So that's what I would suggest, and try to stick to just a couple people that kind of say the same stuff. That's what I would suggest. In your opinion, almost missed one. What's your view on the role of genetics in muscle hypertrophy, and how can individuals maximize their potential regardless of genetic factors. Genetics. So genetics, some people like will just do like 2 sets of calf raises in a month and grow their calves. And then some people need to put a lot more effort in. So my view on it is that, yeah, definitely genetics definitely will influence on how quick or on what specific muscles will grow faster. But the thing is that I would try not to view yourself as, oh man, I have like really bad genetics. Just see what can you do with your body. You may not be able to build as much mass, but maybe you may have better proportions, like try to look at try to shift your perspective on it. And then, yeah, there's going to be some stuff that requires more effort. Like if you want bigger calves and your genetics is not aligning with that, hey, look, try your best, do what you can. I feel like you getting a result out of a hard journey is way more satisfying than something that has already been gifted to you. And I feel like anyways, it's like another motivational factor when it comes to going to the gym consistently. Like, yeah, when something is pretty hard and you're still going, you're putting in the pain to get it, the reward and the process is way more rewarding. So that's how I look at it. Can you share your thoughts on the integration of mind-muscle connection and hypertrophy? Oh yeah, I kind of said that already. Again, like mind-muscle connection, but just do not neglect effort when you're focused on mind-muscle connection. I think those two, it's a formula. It's not just mind-muscle connection, it's mind-muscle connection and effort. Those two together will yield you the best results. In your opinion, what's the most exciting recent development or research in the field of muscle hypertrophy? Like I said, I've been diving into practical physics, understanding torque, moment arms, and understanding the internal force, and understanding the anatomy and how things connect, and like how to align yourself best with certain muscle fibers, and then how much does that really matter for someone who just wants to go in the gym. That's kind of the stuff that I've been studying more and more in depth with, and I'm excited because I've been experimenting a little bit, especially now that I have more times on my hand. I will be experimenting with a lot of stuff that I'm learning. As soon as I get the result and I have more awareness and conscious understanding of it, I will be posting a lot of content on it. So yeah, let's go here. So we're almost done with the fitness side of things. I'm going to dive into my forex experience and my self-improvement aspect of things. So stay on this podcast, okay. So what's your take on the debate between high frequency training versus more traditional split routines for hypertrophy gains? So in terms of traditional split routines, like upper, lower, full body, and push pull legs, compared to a high frequency, I'm not sure when I say it's high frequency, if it's like just saying 7 times a week or 6 times a week. Honestly, like 3 times a week, 4 times a week split, a lot of people look at that as, oh, like more is better, right? Like a 6 times a week split is better than a 4 times a week. But I actually got most of my results with a 3 to 4 time a week frequency. It like, yeah, like a 6 times a week, you'll have more room to like do different exercises, and I guess like you'll be able to focus on some of the isolational movements, quote unquote. But like my take on it is like, yo, like it's like a split in general is just really based on those 2 factors I spoke about in the beginning. Like what is going to allow you to recover and progress pretty quickly, and then what do you enjoy doing and what can you commit to, So it's like there's no real debate on it, in my opinion. I think it's just like, yo, just kind of do what's best for you, but do not think in your head that you need more. Like less to me is actually more. I do better with 4 times or 3 times a week. High rep versus low rep training for hypertrophy. Are higher repetitions with lighter weights as effective as traditional heavy lifting for muscle growth? So high rep versus low rep. I think you should be able to combine a good amount. They say ideally you want to stay between a 6 to 12 rep range. I say, you can go as low as 4 reps, even 3 reps, really, for hypertrophy. And then you could go as high as 20, right? 25 plus. So when it comes to repetition, I'll kind of give you guys some of my experience and some of the things I've learned. So if you're doing an exercise with not so much range of motion, then it's probably best for you to stick to a higher rep range so you can get more of that exercise. Also, if something doesn't have a quote unquote like good strength profile, like let me give you an example. Okay, so like a hack squat, right? A hack squat. I don't know if you guys ever seen bodybuilders, they put a band on the hack squat. With the band, what it allows it to do is when you get to the bottom position, you know how your muscles are stretched out in that position? That's the lengthened position. When you start to push on the way up, since the band is getting what is it called? It's adding resistance. The band is adding resistance as you continuously push. So that makes the whole entire rep equally as hard. So in a regular squat, that bottom position is always going to be the hardest. But with the band, you can match the strength profile with the resistance profile. Strength profile is, at what positions are your muscles strongest and at what positions are they weakest. Resistance profile is what part of the movement is hardest, what part of the movement is easiest. If you match those two, where everything is almost as equally hard for every part of the rep, then that's going to allow for more effective stimulus, and you don't need as much repetitions. But my whole point with going into that is like everything is really subjective based on what you're doing and what the intent is. So I say just, hey, if you're someone just trying to get the basic stuff, combine them. I would stick to 6 to 12 reps for your general working straight sets. Maybe you can add some 12 to 20 reps toward the end, or maybe for some like stuff that doesn't have that much range of motion. And also, I would also eventually cycle in 3 to 5 reps, I guess, for some like strength benefits. There is some hypertrophy stimulus that can happen there too. And yeah, that's it. So the role of isolational exercises. Some argue they are essential for hypertrophy, while others believe compound effects alone are sufficient. What's your stance? I honestly just look at it as force. Like I've seen clients, they do pretty well with just quote unquote isolational exercises, especially in the beginning. Like a leg extension, for example, that's just your knee just flexing and extending. Honestly, for beginners, like that is to me a really good exercise. You're braced on the pad, you don't have to worry about so much coordination, and you can load that thing pretty heavily. Like you could do just 6 to 8 reps on the leg extension, and it could actually yield some really good stimulus. So for me, it's just like, why not do both? I don't look at it as one is better than the other. In your experience, how much does mental attitude and mindset impact the success of a hypertrophy focused program? I believe I spoke about this before. It's everything. If your attitude toward your body changing, because you're going through this process of change. Not only is there a physical change, there's also a mental change, right? That person that was smoking and drinking and going to parties and not treating themselves well is going to be different than the person that is continuously going to the gym, rejecting their friends on, going out all the time. Like those two people are going to be different. So it's a mental game more than anything. All right, so that kind of wraps up the fitness side of things. We're gonna get into the self-improvement and the forex experience. So cool. What did you do before fitness? What I did before fitness, I told you guys before, in 2020 I was in college in SUNY Old Westbury, and I got into trading forex with IM Academy. I'll tell you guys this story real quick and how that happened. So one of my girlfriend, she had a friend, and I believe I met him one day. I can't remember. Some of the details are kind of scattered, but I met him one day, and then I followed him on Instagram. And then I was going through Instagram one of the days, and I saw his post, and he had posted like, yo, there's a sale going on right now. Learn how to make money through your phone. And I'm just like, what? Make the money through your phone? What is this? So I hit him up like, yo, what is this? And he gave me a call, 5 minutes, quickly explain. At first, I was a little lost. I'm like, what do you mean foreign exchange? Like trading currency? Like, I don't know how to do that. But he made it sound like it's very simple to do, and I'll have some help. So he told me to hop on a call. Is it what they call it? An informational call? I can't even remember right now. And basically, I hopped on the call, and it just explained what the whole thing is. I Am Academy. They have products, they have resources, education, where they teach you how to trade and make money digitally, right? And so that's then from there I just said, you know what, fuck it, let me give it a shot. And then, you know, from there I just took it pretty seriously. There's the trading aspect of things, and then there's the MLM component. And this is where people get confused, and they're like, wait, so what is forex? So forex is just trading currency online, and then the I Am Academy is the business that provides products and services. So the products is just tools. They have AI software that helps you figure out the algorithms of the market, and then they had education too, teaching you. And then you had the opportunity to enroll customers into the platform, and that's all optional, by the way. You don't have to do that. So I was like, after my first time, I had put $100 in, did some studying within the academy, and then with that first $100, I lost $40. So I went from 100 to 60, and then I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is not as easy as they said it was. And then, I kid you not, I hop on this trade. So they send out a signal. They send out, hey, everyone hop on this trade. It's going to do good. So I think I was a big risk taker, and I said, you know what, let me put everything on the line. That trade had made me like, I think it was like $40. So it didn't even make me that much, actually. And I went back from 60 to 100 like that. I was like, yo, that's the secret. You just got to take big risk. So, you know, I keep taking big risk, and I build up my account from $100 to $800. And that was the first time in my life I ever done that, just by clicking buttons. And I was like, yo, this is fucking lit. And I remember it was Thanksgiving time. So, you know, what happens when you gamble, it's like, all right, eventually you're going to lose. And so, yeah, I blew the whole account. I went from 800 to nothing. And I was just like, yo, what the fuck? And I remember like that was like a learning moment. But, you know, when I saw my account went from 60 to 800, for me, I was like, yo, I remember that feeling like, yo, it kind of shifts your perspective on how money works. Like, you know how they say money doesn't grow on trees? Well, it kind of does. Because if you look at what the rich do, they put their money in places where it grows exponentially, right? Or they put their time in things eventually it will compound. So that has kind of shifted my mindset on money. And then, you know, I went to a in-person conference event, and they kind of spoke on, you know, the power of talking to other people about it. And, you know, it's like you hear a lot of things like pyramid scheme, this, and it was kind of like hesitant for me. But as I started trading more and more, I gained a little bit more confidence, and eventually I started building an organization. So the day-to-day operations of running an organization, I have that as one of the questions. Day-to-day operations, you know, eventually I had a team of over like 100 plus people, and you're making phone calls. First, you need to make money yourself. So you hop on educational calls for you, make money, and then from there, you're trying to help and consult other people. Now, the way that the business had ran it wasn't systematic. It wasn't duplicatable. It wasn't, I don't want to say systematic. It was like, you have to invest so much time, and you eventually get burnt out. You have to help so much people. So like the scalable side of things wasn't really good. I think there could have been a better system on communicating and producing better results for the organization. So like my day-to-day operations was just calling everyone I can. And then there's like, you're trying to continuously build your organization. So I would have to like prospect and contact people on Instagram and market on social media. So, that's what I was doing for quite some time. I want to share a quick story on when I got robbed in the city. So it was 2 years ago. I was in the city, I was prospecting, and I'm over here trying to recruit people into my business, and I'm so focused, and that's all I'm thinking about. Now, this one person comes up to me. He has a hospital bracelet on, and then he's just like, yo, he's like, yo, bro, I just came out the hospital. I have this check for $1,000, and I need to withdraw the check. I need to put it into an account and withdraw it. And I don't know if he told me like he forgot his wallet, or he just needed, I forget what he said, but he didn't have his wallet, he didn't have his card. Now, I make the smart decision to say, all right, cool, I can help you out, because what he was implying was he needs me to deposit his check into my account, and once the check is deposited, I send him the money so he can go home. So, we go into Chase, I deposit the check, and the check actually hits my account. Funny enough. And so I sent him the money, and, if anyone, I didn't just get robbed, I got scammed. Anyone who's ever got scammed before with the check knows that the check is fake, and the bank noticed it, obviously, so they took back the money, and now my account, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even have that much money in the account, it was in negatives. And I'm just like, yo, I just got scammed. And Chase, they thought I was trying to scam, so they terminated my account. They said, we're done with you. And that was my experience. You can't scam in the city, so it's a little humiliating. But for anyone out there who runs into someone with a hospital bracelet, just know that they are trying to scam you. Maybe. Okay, so what transpired you to get involved with personal development, and why? All right, so like I said, me going from making $800 on my phone made me realize the power that I have, and then just constantly putting myself in front of winners, in front of people that have the lifestyle that I dreamed of but never really believed in, because of how I grew up and what I saw growing up. And everyone tells you, like, we don't have that much money, at least for me. Like, that was my family's constant verbiage. So just me experiencing a different side of life made me realize that I can do the same too, because these people came from the same position I was in, and they were able to change their life. So just like me seeing that with my own eyes has shifted the way that I started to think. And then just from there, I knew that if I want to start making changes in my life, I need to change. So that's when I started to learn more about myself and understanding, how is it that these winners win. And that's when you dive into personal development and you look at what is it that all successful people do. They become very obsessive on one thing. So they start to think about that one thing continuously. And they have a great attitude for their achievement. And that's just like the general thing that most successful people do. But then from there, it's like there's so in I Am Academy, there was Bob Proctor. I spoke about Bob Proctor a couple times before. He's one of the top mindset coaches in the world. He's helped CEOs of companies. He's helped basically he's helped millionaires too, right? So one of the days that I was in the business, I was feeling pretty down because my business wasn't doing so well. And then one of my leaders, they tell me, it's like, yo, I want you to watch this video from Bob Proctor. So I watched the video, And that's when I gained awareness. I realized what it is that I was doing. And I was getting very emotionally involved with my current results. And Bob Proctor talks about it a lot. Like, we think from outside in. We like focus on what our external circumstances are, and we let that determine the way we think. And then we grow up like that, and then we develop a programming on that. And Bob Proctor always preaches about programming and rewiring the way that your mind is already programmed to think. So, that was fascinating to me, and then I just continued to dive in from there. All right. So what is my current focus and routine? So for me, self-image is what I'm currently focused on, and that's just the way you perceive yourself. So I've been, taking actions and really like changing the way I view myself. Like, I actually wrote down 6 people that I look up to, and I like, some people are gonna think this is crazy, but I just literally in the morning I fantasize. I try to, and this is called the law of familiarity. Familiarity. I can't pronounce. How do you pronounce that? Familiarity.
Now you got me thinking.
Familiarity. Familiarity. There it is. But yeah, essentially, you use their success and what they've been able to do, and you kind of visualize on how you want to live. All right, so we're gonna finish this off with 2 more questions. In my experience, how does the concept of finding your passion align with the pursuit of self-improvement? So, like, how there's like a work-life balance? Some people are gonna like bash me for this, but I believe your life should revolve around your work. You know why? Because what you work on should be your desires, what you really are passionate about. And then, some people are going to say, like, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. And that's understandable. But like, everyone is a spiritual being. So that means like you're going to have things that you really enjoy based on the weirdest motivations when you were probably a child. And like, for example, I know someone that loves to travel a lot. And so the reason why they like traveling a lot, speaking to them, it's because they didn't really travel when they were kids. So now it's like they're super passionate about it. And I think when you kind of find what is that one thing that you enjoy, think about it. We're not going to be on this planet forever. We only live once. If you have a work-life balance, you work on something you do not enjoy just to pay your bills and meet end, then you get accustomed to that. You're going to live your whole life like that. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that you really want out of life? What is it that you enjoy doing? And then align your life with that. And there's so much ways of making money. I feel like in terms of making money and paying bills and living in current society, if you dive into the development enough and you look at what people who are making money, what they're doing, and you start doing those things, eventually you'll make money too. You can make money while doing what you still love. That's why they have multiple sources of income. So, last question. What is my vision? What are the projects I'm working on? And why? So, my current vision right now is to operate a company all over the world. I want to be able to impact people through fitness, self-improvement, entrepreneurship. And my current project is actually, I'm testing out my current system through online coaching. And I picked up 5 people for free. So if you guys were watching my social media, and I've already programmed for them. So now I'm really excited to see the results that come in, me doing weekly check-ins. And eventually the goal is to have a sustainable online coaching business that's actually producing results. And I want to be different than most of the people that are doing online coaching. So I feel like most of the online coaches, they focus on just the fitness side of things, which is great, but there's a big mindset component to it. Anytime you're dealing with a big change, you got to change. So that's the one thing I think I can provide value in society is combining fitness and mindset and your behaviors and changing them. So I'm really excited for that. And then why? So, like my current goal is to make 25K a month. Eventually I want to be a multimillionaire. And I really want to be able to help my current family in El Salvador. Like when you look at their lifestyle, they're the example. Like, I mean, I'm super grateful that I was given this opportunity to just, do what I love. And some people, it's really hard for them because they have to meet in. So I want to be able to change that. I want to be able to be the first person that does the thing that I said I was going to do, and then I help them do it, and I provide as much as I can, just bring wealth to the name. And yeah, and that's me. So, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for Devon. And this is, Studio Javon. Amazing host, amazing studio. I want you guys to, if you guys enjoyed, you guys loved my rant, follow me on Instagram at LUNAIMPACTS. There's 2 pages right now. There's a Luna and then underscore impacts. There might be another underscore. That page is going to be a business page. Right now it's just some of my old content. But follow both pages, okay? I'll still, I promise you, I have a lot of heat coming. I'm continuously providing content and value on social media. So, and I'm going to have a special guest next week. So make sure you guys tune in Fridays at 6. Thank you.